bonus episode of our Speaker Series event brought to you by the Foundation for Free Enterprise Education. Every Thursday throughout the summer, we have brought to you messages of hope, inspiration, encouragement, and career advice from the top motivational speakers in the country. The same motivational speakers who are normally an instrumental part of our Pennsylvania Free Enterprise Week program each summer. You see, PFEW is so much more than a business camp. Absolutely, students learn about business, economics, government, marketing, supply and demand, and many other very important free enterprise topics. But students who attend PFEW also get the opportunity to learn about themselves, how to navigate life, what motivates them, how to work with people they have never met, and the importance that every person plays in our lives. When you put together the opportunity to learn about free enterprise, careers, and ourselves, you get how most students describe PFEW after they attend. It's a life camp. How powerful is that? This speaker series was our way of trying to bring just a small sample of the PFEW journey into your lives during this difficult time. We hope you have enjoyed their messages and they have brought you some important life lessons, tips for success, and hope for your future. We are excited to present to you this bonus presentation. This next gentleman has been involved with our foundation for several years, but we have missed him for the past few as he relocated to Florida. Our hope has always been to reconnect with him, and we are thrilled to finally do so now. His message can't be more relevant to the times we are living in. Overcoming obstacles through the power of human potential. He's proof positive that you can overcome obstacles, and you will have to do so many times throughout your lives. He will share with you his most recent obstacle that inhibited us from scheduling him into our live Thursday night series. But his message is too important. He knows that young people are our future, and he believes what he does is investing in our future. He couldn't agree more. Please welcome Mr. Tim Piccirillo.
Oh, thank you so much, Michelle. It is so good to be here and even virtually back with PFEW, FFEE. Love you guys. And the students on here that are, thank you so much. I appreciate it. It's so good to be back with you and the students. Every time that I would do an event in Pennsylvania, back when I lived there, it was just magical. Because you kids that have taken part in this, anytime that I get high school kids that are involved in extracurricular activity and association, whether it be a key club or 4-H or anything, because it's like about leadership, right? That's what you guys are doing. That's exciting to me because I knew starting almost 30 years ago when I heard this, that you're the stewards of the future. You guys are the future. And to be honest with you, I think we're in good hands. Now, we're in a chaotic time right now. And I haven't seen it this. Now, I have a reference. And the last time I saw it this chaotic in the country was 1968 when the country was torn. I'm not going to go into politics. I'm going to spend about 1 minute on this. And then we're going to get into what's going to be relevant for you. Because everything changes. So no matter how chaotic, now I don't think you see any rose-colored glasses on me. I just know the reality. History repeats itself. We'll get through this, but remember, you're the future. So you are responsible, and I think we're in good hands. But I'm going to share with you 60 years of wisdom. I shouldn't say wisdom. Yeah, it's wisdom. I hope I got a little bit smarter through this, through the years as I have matured and aged, and I've learned a number of things that are truths. They're my truths, and these principles that I'm going to teach you will work for anybody, particularly if you want to get into the workforce, you want to build a company. Any kind of passion you have, we're going to talk about all that. But you're going to see an underlying theme about everything that I do throughout this entire presentation. And it's just this one message. It's not what happens to you in life that matters. It's what you do about what happens to you. Now, you're going to hear my story. I want to spend less time on my story today and more time on the principles that are going to help you be successful in life. Because these are proven success-based, achievement-oriented personal development principles that will work for anybody if you implement them. And basically everything's up here. I'm going to talk about that at the end. So we're talking about adversity and we're talking about success. Now, Number one, you're not going to escape adversity. All of us go through challenges. Right now, the entire country is going through, the entire world is going through a challenge with the pandemic. It's, not business as usual anymore. This is really an upheaval in everybody's lives, right? But it will pass. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same. Nothing is static. That's what I found in my life. Everything continually changes. So we're going to have adversity. If you understand that and realize it's not the adversity, you're going to have troubles, you're going to have trials, you're going to have problems, you're going to have challenges. But those aren't the things that count. It's what you do about them and how you deal. And how you deal is all up here. Okay, so once you realize that and really get it from your head to your heart and back to your head, it's going to be a lot easier for you. Okay, so that's how I've gotten through the things I've got. Now you see my head like moving all over the place. That's called tics. I was diagnosed with Tourette Syndrome back when I was 16 years of age. And that was a long time ago. And they did, 1975? And they knew nothing about it back then. And so, this thing, it looks, you'll see a couple of head tics, but I had a very severe case of this. My mom noticed it when I was like 2 years old. And she saw me in my crib and I was doing some sort of ticking, because I asked her, I said, when did you see this? She said, between 2 and 3 years old. And it progressed. And by the time I was 14, almost 15, I was on the couch or in my bed. My body was moving constantly. It was what I call full body involvement, just tics, where I would tense my muscles and jerk my limbs, my legs, everything. I couldn't sit still. This went on for 20 hours a day. 4 hours of interrupted sleep a night, maybe. And what I mean by that is I would sleep a half hour, an hour, and wake up and have to tic again. So my doctor had me on all this medication, and because he didn't know what was the matter with me. And I was a 14-year-old child and really heavy duty pharmaceutical drugs. And he put me in the hospital for a while. Now I'm sleeping 20 hours a day. And I remember this story that the nurse that was in charge of me for one particular, I told my mom, said, get him out of here, get him out of the hospital, and she was referring to my doctor, or he's going to kill him. So my mother, back then, this was 1975, and doctors did not like to refer to specialists. That wasn't really done unless it was absolutely necessary, because the business model was a little bit different. They're taking money out of I'm going to lose a patient. Not anymore. So they sent me down to Geisinger Medical Center, which is, in Danville, little tiny thing. Now, people don't realize that medical center at that time in 1975 had the most concentrated area of specialists. They had a specialist in virtually every medical, specialty that you could have. They gave me a battery of tests over a week-long period. That was just a whole nother thing. But they came up with a diagnosis of Tourette Syndrome. And I said, wonderful, Tourette Syndrome, named after a French doctor, Gilles de la Tourette. I said, Tourette, what a beautiful name for a horrible disorder. And I said, well, can you cure it? No. Mom, Dad, can you help? No. Well, I said, can you treat it? Well, we can try things. There's no real protocol for it. They didn't have, so we tried some different things. And so I'm facing this thing, no cure, no real treatment. He's flying blind, flying in the dark. It's like, let's try this, try that. And that was what it was. So I had to learn to deal. Now, it got to be by the time now part of that too was it was horror. I must say it was horror going through it at that time, getting diagnosed, because I didn't just have those body tics. I had what we call, some people call them self-abusive behaviors. I had a biting tic. A lot of the Tourette's back then was centered in my mouth. Now, you know how sensitive. Have you ever been at a party or a picnic and you're munching on a hamburger and all of a sudden, right, you bite your cheek? And what's that feel like? It's horrible. Imagine doing that every couple of minutes, where you bite holes the size of dimes in either side of your cheeks. And it got to the point I couldn't take solid food. My mother told me she'd make a milkshake twice a day, drop a raw egg in it so I had some sort of nourishment. And I became emaciated. On top of that, I had a teeth grinding tic, and I ground my front teeth I ground them and gnashed them so severely that they basically came out of my mouth. So now I don't tell you this for sympathy. I just tell you what this disorder can do to you. It's not progressive. I'm not going to die from it. So I had to remember, it's like, okay, this is tough. And the nature of Tourette's is that it comes and goes. There's no rhyme or reason to it. I mean, there's certain things if I don't have a lot of sleep because it's a neurological disorder, I get it might act up, or it might be something that I eat because it's a chemical imbalance in my brain, right? It's basically, they narrowed it down to my brain stem. That's where there's an overabundance of brain chemical called dopamine, which is neither here nor there, but I had to learn to deal with this. Now it got bad because as I'm going through adolescence, right, 14, 15, 16, my body's going through all these physical changes, and got so bad I couldn't go to school. It was the second half of 10th grade. And back then they had one accommodation. It was homebound instruction. So what I would do was I would meet with my teacher one-on-one in his classroom, or he would come to my home. Now, the bad thing about this was that I got really behind in, I should say, maturity, because it wasn't around my peers. So I couldn't take part in the school games and everything, and it was really difficult for me. I didn't realize at the time until I wanted to go to college, and I went, and I'll tell you that in a second. But throughout all this horrendous stuff of Tourette's, one thing sustained me, one thing only. Now I'm going to move this for a second because I'm going to show you what saved my life. This literally saved my life. This is a key point. Now I'm just going to show you, I'm going to move this down. This is a little, can you see that okay? That's a mat. It just makes the surface easier. Now there's nothing, that's just my kitchen countertop. There's nothing underneath there, just to show you. It's just an easier working surface. Now, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to grab some corn. Oops, I dropped one. Hold on, I apologize for that. Don't try this at home. I am a professional. All right, anyway. Humor me, Michelle, humor me. All right, here we go. We got 3 coins on each side. Now this, believe it or not, I'm going to tell you, this truly saved my life. So we have 3 and 3. Here we go. Now just keep an eye. 1, 2, 3 there. 1, 2, 3 coins here. All right, now watch. We're going to toss one. Did you hear that, Michelle? There's 4 there. And there's 2 there. Isn't that cool? 1, 2, 3, 4 there. 1, 2 here. Watch. 5 there. 1 there. Isn't that cool? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here. This saved my life. Now, again, set that there. Nothing underneath this pad. Gonna set those all there. All right. Now, Michelle, you're watching this, so I'm going to take that right here. Did you see? Did you see anything at all? Did you see it go? Disappeared? No? No, Michelle's shaking her head no. You're right, it didn't go, all right? You were waiting though, all right? We'll try it again. Tell you right there. Now, normally what I do is I go in the camera and give you a little fist bump, boom. We pretend. There you go, give me a fist bump on the camera. Perfect. All right, now it went. Isn't that cool? Now people say, what do we put under there? 5, right? I'm going to lift up the mat totally. You'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that cool?
Wow.
You're probably wondering, okay, what in the heck? I'm going to put this back here. You're saying, what does that have to do with anything? Well, that changed my life. That was magic. Magic changed my life. I discovered it in 9th grade. I was in typing class. And you kids remember what a typewriter was? We had them back in 1973 BC, before computers. And yeah, but I mean, that was one of the things, because I make my living as an online marketing consultant. I type, and believe it or not, with Tourette's, people don't realize Tourette Syndrome, I got diagnosed with this, it's a syndrome. So it's not just the tics. We have all kinds of neurological stuff going on. Lots of fun, like depression, anxiety, OCD, obsessive compulsive tendencies, things like that, right? The underlying conditions like that we have to keep at bay. So it's a really fun disorder. But this thing called magic, my typing teacher, John Lovell, introduced it to me. And I remember vividly sitting in his class and I'm ticking, I'm just everybody else is typing, right? I'm going like this, trying to type. He comes over and said, "What's that in your typewriter?" Well, if you notice, the typewriter inside, it has the keys that, the punches that come up. And he reached down in there and his hand was empty and he pulled out a $50. Oh, wow. I was just totally taken. I was just enamored with this. It was just amazing to me. And he showed me a different trick every day. He just took this kid that didn't feel too good about himself under his wing. And this thing called magic saved my life because it became a focal point. It became an obsession. It became, I ate, lived, slept, breathed magic. That's what it takes to become successful. Whatever you decide to do, whether it be starting a company, starting a business, becoming an engineer, a doctor, a lawyer, doesn't matter what it ever is, you're going to have a much easier time and much better chance of being hyper successful if you're passionate about what you do. See, I learned a long time ago to live my life by design, not by default. Folks that just go through life and they kind of go through life unthinkingly. Now, I don't judge that. I just wanted more for my life. Now there's a lot of people that say, you want to make God laugh? Tell him your plans. Well, and that's true, but there's a thing called goal setting. We work toward it, right? What we want. I just knew magic was my path. It's going to eventually be my path. Now, I knew coming out of my first professional show. Now, people say, what's a professional show? I got paid for it. I was 15 years old. It was July, I want to say 1974. And it was July, and I remember working for my first professional show, 100 kids at the local YMCA. I was paid the enormous sum of $10. But if you would have saw my act, you would have thought they grossly overpaid me because, it wasn't that good. But I had this love for it. And I controlled those 100 kids for about 40 minutes and did a show. I walked out of that YMCA, my local YMCA in this small town of Ridgeway, Pennsylvania, 5,000 people. And I knew what I wanted to do with my life. I said, I'm going to become a professional magician. But you know what? It took another 18 years to reach that goal because certain things got in the way. Now, my passion never waned. It never waned. But I had to do it a different way. So what happened? Well, couldn't go to high school, right? 2.5 years without my peers. I wanted to go to college. Well, how the heck am I going to go to college? I can't even go to high school. I can't even make it through, sitting still through an hour class or all day. How am I going to do this? Well, I got accepted to Clarion University and I went and I did it and I made it through because it was a little bit different. You don't go 7 classes straight. You have 2 or 3 a day, just depending on your schedule. It was stressful, but I made it through. And that made all the difference. Now, my passion with magic, I did fraternity parties. I opened at rock concerts. I played nursing homes. I would perform anywhere they would pay me. And if they didn't pay, I said, well, what's your budget? We don't have a budget. How about a chicken dinner? Perfect. I'll be there. I just wanted to hone my craft. And that's another lesson I learned. When you do something, learn all you can. Don't expect to get paid for it. Learn as much as you can. There's no way around paying your dues. There's no fast tracking success. You hear of overnight success, doesn't exist. There's always years of preparation, not always years, but it depends on how committed you are. So basically I made it through college and that was my first success. And I felt much better about myself. You got to understand, I got a lot of negative attention. People would, make fun of me. They didn't understand it. I'd get, kids can be cruel, but my classmates were really good about it. They just knew, they didn't know it was wrong, but they were very patient with me, most of them for the most part. But society didn't understand it. So I had to get used to the funny looks and the snickers and the laughs and everything, which is just the reality of it. Does it make it right? No, but I had to get through it. Again, it's not what happens to me. What am I going to do about it? Now, I'm much more comfortable with it, and I'll tell you that because it left me for about 25 years. It cut down about 90% and it came back about 5 years ago, which can happen. I've heard people that have it just lift. The symptoms are not that bad for even 40 years. They get in their 70s and boom, comes back with a vengeance. Weird disorder. My point is though, I learned a long time ago that the passion has to override the fear in anything you do. So I'd never let Tourette Syndrome stop me. I never let it stop me. We're going to have challenges. You just keep going. You just keep going. I'll quote a Calvin Coolidge quote. I've done this for years because it just hits it. And it's all about persistence. It's about moving forward with your goals and with what you love, no matter what obstacle. And he said, press on. Nothing can take the place of persistence. And how, I haven't quoted this in a long time. He says, talent will not. The world is full of uneducated or no. You know what? I should look that up. Let me look that up right now as we do this. I know I've got a little time here. So Calvin Coolidge quote on persistence. Don't you just love Google? You guys, we're living in the most exciting time in human history. This is where I make my living as an online marketing consultant. Try that again because it just listened to everything I had. I love voice search. All right. But my point is, Calvin Coolidge quote on persistence. We're coming up because this is really important. No, we don't want to hear that. Here we go. All right. Let me just hit this. Boy, I'll tell you what, it's like, Tim, are you killing time here? No, I've learned to use time. That's what I've learned to do. All right, here it is. So nothing in this world can take the place of persistence. Talent will not. Nothing is more common than unsuccessful men with talent. Genius will not. Unrewarded genius is almost a proverb. Education will not. The world is full of educated derelicts. Persistence and determination alone are omnipotent. So education is key, right? We got to get that. We got to learn how to do what we got to do. However you get that education. PFEW is a way to start if you want to build businesses. Oh yeah, no doubt. But that's what got me through, persistent, because that passion for doing magic and knowing that I wanted to be a professional magician overrode any fear or any self-consciousness about having Tourette's, okay? So I wanted to be successful, and that was the biggest thing. You know, I think my motivation, I tell it all the time, my motivation in the early days was, I'll show you. You made fun of me, I'll show you. My drive, right or wrong, in the early days stemmed from having to do better than you did, from the quote unquote normal population. Now, right or wrong, that was my motivation. I had to do better because I'm coming from a place where I felt I was down here and you were up here. So that was my motivation to really excel and to attain peak performance in everything I do. And I'm a peak performance expert. I study people that are wildly successful. And I've noticed this is what I've noticed. You have Charlie and you have Biff. Now let's talk about Biff. Biff comes from a wealthy family. His dad is an executive for a Fortune 500 company. He goes to the best schools. He barely gets through a very high-end college and gets out. His dad gets him a job. And within a month, Biff is fired. And he keeps losing jobs, and he really can't make it. That's Biff, all right? Now you take Charlie. Charlie came from a broken home. He was abused as a child. You know, his dad was violent toward him. Charlie only had a high school education, didn't have money or resources, didn't have a lot of talent, didn't even have a lot of skills, but Charlie became wildly successful. Now, why is that Biff, who had every advantage, you know, a father wealthy with connections, got him into the best school, right? But he's not making it. And Charlie, who had every disadvantage, became wildly successful. Well, what happened to Charlie? Well, Charlie, even though he didn't have, you know, the background, the talent, the skill, a high school education, he built his own business, it became a multi-million-dollar business. He was a pillar of the community, did a lot in his community civically, right? Had a wonderful family, wife, 3 kids. Now, this is all hypothetical, but this happens all the time. Why was he wildly successful? Because he wanted it, because he had a passion, because he recognized certain things made all the difference. It wasn't just his standing, like Biff standing or his dad standing. It wasn't just the education. He had the passion to just keep moving forward with his life. See, if you don't feel like you fit in, like I did, and still to a degree do, but you know what? It's a cool feeling because you get comfortable with it. And then you start realizing the plain vanilla, or people that are living at kind of, and I'm not putting down and putting in judgment. I just wanted more. Do you want more in your life? Do you want to excel? Do you want to rise above the pack and really maximize that potential? Because see, we all were born with this thing. You can't see it. It's inside you. You don't know it's there. You can't see it, taste it, smell it. You can't feel it. You can't hear it. But it's called human potential. And I studied people in depth for over 35 years, about 35 years. And I've just seen the people that want it. That's the biggest thing. How bad do you want it? Now let's talk about, because you hear, I've used this term, I don't know how many times, success, right? And you hear, what's success? What does success mean? What is it actually? Because you get different things. Well, I want to be successful. What does that mean? Well, let's talk about it, because I have pretty firm opinions about it. I'm opinionated on success, and it hasn't changed in 25, 30 years. I've had to learn some lessons regarding this, but I'm going to show you something. I'm going to stand up for this. I'm sitting on a stool. So this is a $1 bill. Okay, everybody can see that, and nothing in my hands, right? And nothing up my sleeves because I don't have any sleeves. So we're going to fold this. This will happen right in front. Don't take your eyes off the bill. And we're going to fold it once. I always ask the kids how to do that. We're going to fold it twice, which would be in quarters. And we fold it a third time, which would be in 8. And then one last time, which is in 16. And we blow on it like that, which is enough to kill anything. Trust me. Hey, it's 10 o'clock in the morning, but I did brush my teeth. Open it up. And we put a 0 on that. Can you see that? Ah, Michelle's laughing. Isn't that cool? That's a $10 bill. Now, normally, a lot of times I do it with 100, but I didn't have 100 lying around here right now. Yeah, that's a $10. Now, what's the point here? The point is that this thing called money, that does not equate success. All right. Now, let me just tell you, because we're dealing with PFEW here, in money, in business, that's a scorecard. That's the bottom line. And that's a scorecard to tell you how well your business is doing and what's going on in your business. The whole idea in your business is to make money, right? So that's the scorecard for what it is. But do not think that equates total success. That's the only level of success. As I get older, money's important. I will never downplay it. People, I love Zig Ziglar. He's one of the biggest motivational speakers out there. He just passed away a few years ago, and he goes, people that say they don't care about money will lie about other things too. And it's so true. So money's important. Having money makes things a lot easier, right? But doesn't equal success. It's only a part of success. Question is, are you happy? Happiness and being satisfied in your life and being content and happy is kind of like the new currency. Money is still important. I'm not downplaying that, but are you happy? So that's why you want to find the passion. I always use this coin, because that's was my passion at one time. Everything that I've always done in my life, and I've done a number of things, because I'll just give you the end game here, was because I was passionate about it. I've never done a job or a business, and I can't work for anybody now because I've been independent since 1992. So that's just me. I'm an entrepreneur at heart. I'm the guy that won't be told what to do. Entrepreneurs, we don't like to take orders. I'm actually working. One of my clients is going to be transitioning out of the Army. He is probably in a couple of years. He's up for a 1-star general promotion. And he commands. I know in the Gulf War, they called him into Washington to manage like 325,000 troops and send them all over the globe. So my point is, we don't take, as an entrepreneur, I don't really listen to direction because we assume all the risk, right? And we're kind of mavericks and have these ideas, and we're just testing. One thing I found, kids, and I'm sorry to call you kids, but you are to me, right? One thing I found is that the people that are successful, the most successful in this world, are the ones that have failed the most, believe it or not. Now, people say that's counterintuitive. What do you mean by that? Why that is because they're constantly trying new things. Entrepreneurs are trying things, and a lot of them fail. And we have a thing called fail forward fast and just move on to the next thing. So the more you fail, in fact, I don't really like that word. I don't have it in my vocabulary because I kind of, again, it's a mind thing. We don't fail. We get results. You get results that work or results that don't work. And if something doesn't work, try something else. And then what do you do if that doesn't work? Well, then you try something else. And if that doesn't work, you try something. You just keep trying until you get what you want. And that is persistence. That's what Calvin Coolidge said. Find your passion. Don't let anything stop you, and go after it. I do have a 7-step success formula. I won't go into it now. Well, because I really don't have time. Yeah, I want to cover some other points. If you want it, you can give them my information. I have it on audio. I will be glad to email it to anybody that wants it. Okay. In fact, I'll give you my email so you can contact me. Is that okay, Michelle? I'll give that to you direct, tim@timpic.com, tim@timpic.com. So feel free to email me if you want that link. And I have about a 17-minute version, a 17-minute audio of my success formula that I've used my entire life. It's based on a Tony Robbins 4-step, but I've expanded it. And it'll work for any goal, any endeavor. So if you want it, just email me. Now, passion. What do you want to do? And what success boils down to is figuring out what you want exactly. This is kind of the game plan for success. Exactly, get laser focused. Have that vision. What does that look like? Can you picture in your mind's eye whatever it is you want to do? If you want to build a company, first of all, what's that company going to sell? Now, a lot of people just like the being in business. Harvey Mackay, this guy became a sought-after motivational speaker, wrote a couple of best-selling books back in the 90s, and he owned an envelope company. All right, now we all need envelopes, right? He had this big envelope company, but what he did was he paid attention to business processes and success and motivation and interacting with his employees to get the best out of them. He was known for networking and making relationships. And I think one of his books was based on that. I remember I read 2 of them. I can't remember. I think one was Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty. And then there was another one on that. But the bottom line is, here's a guy that had envelope, but he was fascinated with it, right? So one thing I will say, if you're going to go into business, be passionate, not just about the business itself, but about what you're selling, because you're going to be more successful if you really believe in your product or service, whatever it is. So that's crucial. And that's what I had to learn. Like I said, I haven't done anything in my life that I didn't want to do. So, and that's just me, because I'm stubborn, and there's just I haven't worked for anybody else, like I said, since 1992. Now, where did I go once I got out of college? Well, I worked in the human service field. I worked for a mental health center. My degree was in, like I said, it's called habilitative science, but it was in the mental health special education field. I worked there. And then I moved into, by the time I was 29 years old, I was the executive director of a disability organization. And I did that for about 3.5 years, but I didn't want to do it. Why? I wanted to be a magician. Now, I was smart enough to know I lived in this small town, and building a magic business, being married, I got married at 26, I started from the ground up an entertainment talent agency where I was the middleman between somebody that wanted an act, and then, it's just I was an agent in between there. And I built this from scratch, and I became a threat in this little small town that's 2.5 hours southeast of Erie, 2.5 hours north of Pittsburgh. I became a threat to a number of the bigger agencies because I loved it, right? But why I set up that agency? So I'd have a different income stream in addition to magic. So planning, right? You're passionate. Let's look ahead. What's your vision? What is your vision? Even for this, I had a vision. Now there's Michelle. Michelle, I have a deck of cards here. Just bicycle playing cards. I'm going to, again, stand up here so you can see this. And it's just, now, Michelle, can you just do me a favor and name any card? Now, don't take the Ace of Spades. Guys always take that. Don't take the Queen of Hearts. Ladies always take. So take an obscure card. Just name it.
7 of Hearts.
7 of Hearts. Do you want to change your mind?
No, I'll stay.
You're happy with the mind you have. That's great, because I like your mind too. All right, so you said the 7 of Hearts. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go down through. Hold on. Let me just open this up. I'm going to make sure we keep that. All right. And we're going to look. Can you see that okay? Can everybody see?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, wow. You notice there's one card reversed. Mm-hmm. Now I'm just going to take that one, keep that in the can, put the other ones down, right? Keep that there. All right, now I forgot already. What was the card you said?
7 of Hearts.
Isn't that amazing?
Wow.
Thank you. All right. Now,
done.
That just proves the point. Planning in advance. I had my visions, like I knew. Now, we didn't rehearse this, did we? No. But it proves, it's like, how did you know? Because I planned in advance. I knew, right? Magicians we deceive, but it proves that point. You got to know what you want. You can't hit a target unless you can see the target. And that's the first, that is the first step in my success formula, is knowing your outcome. What exactly does that look like? What business do you want to be in? Or what do you want to do? What exactly? Picture in your mind's eye, visualize it. Believe it or not, thoughts are things. You can bring that into existence just starting to think about it every day. So that's critical, knowing what you want. Secondly is I can't get through life alone. Now, I'm going to tell you, because I keep alluding to it, but I never got to it, what happened. So I was working for this, in my field for about 10 years after I got out of college. But I wanted to go into show business. So one day, I just up and quit my job. And I walked away from this career. And I went into show business. And it was a struggle at first because, it's different doing it full time than it is part time. It's a business now. A lot of people said, well, when you do it as a business, all the fun will go out of it. Not for me, never did. So I just kept going with the talent agency. And I built this thing and my magic career because I was so passionate about it. Everybody told me you can't make a living here. Ridgeway? Are you kidding? This isn't Las Vegas. This isn't LA. It's not New York. This isn't where entertainment industry lives. How are you going to do this? I said, no, you don't understand. The power of marketing and the power of the beauty of it is I can go to them and perform. And as far as the agency goes, I just talk on the phone. That's how I run my business, right? So anything is possible. There is always a way. And I made that happen. Now, what's cool about it is I studied personal development starting in 1986, and I saw these prints. I listened to hundreds upon hundreds of motivational tapes. I read dozens of motivational books, and these are all personal development things. And I encourage you to do that. Get on online. You have YouTube today. Watch Tony Robbins, Simon Sinek. There's just a lot of guys out there that are just good, even older people like Jim Rohn, really good stuff. I filled my mind with this stuff. I filled with these principles, and then I started implementing them into my life. These things like persistence, things like goal setting, things like knowing your outcome, right? Things like never giving up, no matter what. How to deal with it, because it's all up here, right? It's a mental game. If you can master that mental game, you're gonna be ahead of the crowd. That's the whole thing. In fact, so I'm to that point now that I know that mindset is so important that I'm actually doing a course on it. And I'm setting up a Facebook group right now as we speak. And I'm going to have a community, and I'll tell you guys about that if you want to send anybody there. It's a private group, but you're allowed in. Just let me know. So everything boils down to mindset. But one thing that I did learn is that, through all this stuff, that I can't do life alone. I need help. Now, so I built this business, and then it was really funny because I was listening to all these speakers, like some of them really bad. That's terrible to say, but it's like, I could do better than that. And not only that, I could use magic and I could impact people and I could get my message out. So I became a motivational speaker. Now, do you know how I became a motivational speaker? You're going to get a kick out of this story. This is the true story. I know it's true because I'm going to make it up as I go along. No, I'm only kidding. This is actually true. What happened was one of my magic clients, it was the Family Center in Emporium, and just a little small town. And I did this. And I remember this lady was connected with the early intervention program on the state level, and they had their state conference coming up. And I blurted out to her, I said, I'm a motivational speaker. Well, I wasn't a motivational speaker, but I've been studying this stuff forever. So I just threw it out there. I said, yeah. Oh, she goes, I'll pass your name along. Well, didn't they call me? And now I booked for an hour and 45-minute breakout session. The good thing was 5.5 months down the line, I worked on this thing daily. My speech, I put it together. I rehearsed it. I was ready. And that was a new career. And everything that I did and talked about in that initial hour and 45 minutes forms the basis of everything I've spoken about and still in my program today. What I do for here, what I do for teachers, what I do for corporate, it's the same message because I was passionate about it. So then for the next over 15 years, almost 20 years, I traveled the country. I had to figure out, well, who needs to hear my message? Kids do. Kids in high schools, teachers, because I believed in the power of education. So that's what I chose. And my secondary market was human services field because that's where I came from. So that's what I did. And then I met a young lady and got married and retired. Essentially, I moved here in 2010, and that didn't work out. I had given up my business, and it didn't work out. But then when it was, I want to say 2014, something like that, I had to figure out, what am I going to do now? The speaking industry had changed dramatically. I really didn't want to go on the road. I'd been doing marketing consulting for a while, so I dove headfirst into that. Digital marketing consulting, and that's what I'm into. And I do copywriting also, sales writing, and I'm really loving that. But I'm also going back to coaching and this type of thing. That's why I believe in mindset. It's, the Facebook group is called The Magic of Mindset Mastery. And, like I said, you're invited to be in if you'd like to be. So, because it's going to be a community of people that want to change their mindset for success and overcoming adversity. Now, it didn't end there. So I'm working with this. And then guess who got COVID? Pick me. Guess who got a severe case of COVID? Pick me. I was in ICU. I was in a COVID unit for 6 days. They wanted to keep me 7, but they came to me a day early and said, are you well enough to go home? Because, as you know, right now, as we record this, Florida is surging, and that's when the surge starts. I said, yes, get somebody else in here that's sicker. I can go home and recover at home. So I had to do all this. I live alone. I was sick alone for 10 days before I was admitted to the COVID unit, and it almost killed me. I did almost die. There's no getting around it. I had a very good pulmonologist that gave me kind of a miracle drug that they're using more of now for more severe cases. It's called dexamethasone, and it saved my life. And again, when you're flat on your back and facing potential death, and they have no cure, and they really don't know how to treat it, what do you do? What do you do? Well, you kind of let go, and you kind of accept it, because I was powerless. And here's another point that kind of is, again, counterintuitive. Look up that word. When I realized that I don't have control past the end of my nose, my life got a lot easier. So how much time do I have? Just curious, Michelle. What do we have? 10? Okay, cool. That's what I thought. I'd look at my clock too. I never go over. That's what I learned as a speaker. Oh, okay. Thank you. What I had to learn is that don't have control past the end of my nose. In other words, I cannot control people's tempers, moods, aggressions, situations. What I've got control over is me and my reaction and where I want to go. So if you remember that, these guys, I'm in good hands. They're doing the best they can. And I think the fact that I just kept positive and say, yeah, we'll get out of this. They know what they're doing. And that's what happened. My mental state, more than anything, along with the support of my friends and family, Facebook friends, close friends and family who suffered right along with me, got me through it. But I had to learn I can't get through life alone. That was that support thing. So I do this thing in my speeches where I say, I'm going to tell you how to get whatever you want in life. And I said it doesn't matter. This will work for anything you want. I don't care if it is the perfect job, the perfect business, the house, the big house, the nice car, the perfect spouse or girlfriend, whatever, boyfriend, right? How do you do it? Well, then I go in the audience. I said, before I tell you how to do that, can somebody just give me a $1 bill? And usually somebody in front row says, I have one. They hand it to me. And I say, that's great. Thank you so much. I said, anybody got a 5? And I go up over here. It's like I go in the audit. They got a 5. I said, how about a 10? And I go through this whole thing. And I have been through speaking dates where I went up, went 5, 10, 20, 50, 100, and got the whole thing. And what does that come out to? Something like $181. And it usually takes about 3 minutes to do that. And then I look and I do, it's kind of a funny thing. So I'm holding up all these bills, like 108 that I got in 3 minutes. They say, well, thank you guys. I stuffed them in my pocket. You are such boy, talk about friendly audience. It's like, then I hit them with the point. What's the point of all this? Well, I'm a total stranger. I've been up here. This is like 15, 20 minutes into my talk. You don't know me from Adam. And in 3 minutes, I got $181, $170, whatever it is. How'd I get that? And they know right off the bat, you asked for it. Yep, I asked for it. Believe it or not, that still works. There are people out there waiting to help you. We are living, I will say it again because it's so important. We're living the most exciting time in human history. We have a global community because of this internet thing. And people my age, the boomers, oh my God, do they fight it? Not me. I recognize the opportunity. Do you know I have friends and clients all over the world? I've got I'm actually a digital marketing agency, and I'm under what we call a personal brand because I'm the face of it, but it's an agency. And I've got designers, 2 designers, they're the best graphic designers I've ever found in Pakistan. I've got people in London. I've got clients in Australia. That's the beauty of this, what's going on here with the online world. And the world is shifting. And you're seeing this through the pandemic. More people are online. I'm seeing much more engagement on Facebook, on my social media. That's where everybody is. And this is where it's going. There's no fighting it. Most industries have to figure out some way to pivot. If nothing else, they need an online marketing platform, but this is really exciting. But here's the thing, there's people out there waiting to help you. You've just got to make relationships and reach your hand out. I can't get through life alone, never have been able to. Start not relying, but using other people. They always say if you want to build a business, use other people's money to do it, right? So if you learn that there's a quote, no man is an island. Very true. No man is an island. What that means is I'm not just by myself. I need support. I need people. As human beings, we are social creatures. We need help. We need social interaction. So don't try to do it alone, okay? So we talked about that. What's your passion? Ask for help. We now know what success is. It's whatever you define it to be, all right? As long as it makes you happy and you're feeling good in here. Now, I chased money and success for years and years. And the young lady that I actually married and actually walked away from was a multimillionaire heiress. But I wasn't happy at the time. I had a lot more growing to do. And I thought, I'd chased money and success my whole life. And I had a hard lesson to learn. So, it's just that now, how can I wrap up? It's going to be really easy because what we're talking about here has to do with how you think. Life is perception. We put meaning on everything. I mean, everything in our lives, we put meaning on it. Shakespeare had that, I think it was in one of his plays, Othello, maybe, or Hamlet, I'm not sure, but he said, there is no good or bad in the world. our thinking makes it so. Now, how can I make that clearer? Well, I remember after the 9/11 attacks, I was doing school assemblies. And I remember about a year after, because we needed to heal as a country, going through that devastating thing. But I had the audacity to ask in start high school assembly. I said, "Did anything good come out of that?" And they were taken aback. Then they started thinking, "Yeah." I said, "What good came out of it? Come on, start thinking. Give me some ideas." We came together as a country. Whoa, wow. Yeah, we hadn't seen that sense of patriotism since like World War II, right? I said, "What else?" So we donated. What did we donate? Blood, right? Yeah, we donated so much blood to the American Red Cross. They said, "Stop donating. We can't store this anymore." We gave something like $500 million to the Red Cross because this is what was needed. People that had been working 12 and 14-hour days, they were workaholics. They quit, changed careers, and said, "I might not be around tomorrow." This pointed this out. Or my family might not be here. I know it's important. They stopped chasing that money and success, right? So they started thinking, and it proves the point that Napoleon Hill said. Look up Napoleon Hill. He wrote a book back in 1932 that is still a bestseller today called Think and Grow Rich. But what he said in this, I think it's in the book, inside every adversity is a seed of equal or greater opportunity. So what I've learned and what my parents taught me, everything I am, everything I hope to be, I owe to my mom and dad, because they taught me you are not your Tourette syndrome. Tourette syndrome is something you have. It is not who you are. So they taught me focus on what you can do, Tim, not what you can't do. Focus on your potential, not your limitations. And that was huge for me. Because I learned as I argue, the more I argue for my limitations, the more I get them. So I recognize, what I can and can't do today, but it's all perception. And if you think, people say, well, yeah, the motivational speakers say, just think positive, keep it positive, ignore the negative. No, there's a lot of crap out there. There's a lot of negativity right now, as you know. Here's what I found. I found a positive attitude will get me a heck of a lot farther than a negative attitude. So this is the thing. Recognize that you're human. You're going to have adversity. You're going to have obstacles, stumbling blocks in whatever you want to do. You can go around them, you can go up over them, or you can bull right through them. You're going to have those. Just figure out what you want to do. Make success. You determine what that means for you. Whatever that is, there's no right or wrong in it. Don't think somebody's rich and famous. I've seen rich and famous people that just have major problems. That doesn't make all the difference. Happiness, passion, and service to others, that's critical. All right, that's number one. Ask for help. Don't try to do it alone. And remember, this thing called life is up here. That's all it is. So I'm Tim Piccirillo, and you're not. And I love PFEW and the Foundation for Free Enterprise, and what you're doing is amazing. Michelle, thank you for having me. It's just, I love these kids. Every time they're just so hyped up. Karen Musante, thank you for having me. I'm just honored to be a part of this organization. So I appreciate it. Email me if you have any questions. You want my success formula, I'll get it out to you.
Tim, thank you so much. We're so thankful that you are with us now, happy and healthy. We followed you on your recent journey, and I know the outpouring of support you received is what got you through. And again, the power of a strong support system. Nobody goes through life alone. We look forward to seeing you in person next summer if you find yourself back in Pennsylvania. And we can't thank you enough for your message and time here today. If you'd like to connect with Tim, his direct contact information is listed on our website and will follow at the conclusion. I know he'd love to hear from you. If you wish to schedule a live meet and greet with Tim, just contact our office and we will make it happen. Finally, one last thank you again to all of our wonderful donors who have made all of our virtual programming possible. We have missed educating our youth in person, but are so thankful we could create our full assortment of virtual content. We hope it provides all who have viewed it and who have participated with tools and knowledge you will use forever. Our final thank you goes to you. Thank you for being a part of this special journey. Please let us know if we can connect you with any of our presenters, and please try and take the follow-up survey listed on our website. Your feedback is critically important so that we can continue adding on to our programming. From our foundation staff and board of directors, thank you and be safe.